Kevin Zay. Hey Chris, I really enjoyed your most recent live show about social media addiction. When it comes to oversharing on social media platforms like Facebook, if someone I know posts items to their page more than, say, 2 or 3 times per day, they normally get unfollowed. That, or if the only thing they ever share is items related to politics. Now, having said all of this, here is my question. Is there something in the human psyche that predisposes certain people to this type of behavior? Hey, thanks for the question, Kevin. And I think what you're seeing on social media is a combination of factors between both, people's ideas about, wanting to share ideas, wanting to help others, wanting to alert others, wanting to inform others. I think that's, one of the motivations you see for people posting, especially politically on social media. But there's also the other side of that, which is people are doing that because they feel riled up. They feel especially over the last few years, the feuding, the amount of like head-on-head clashing that's occurring on the subject of politics or social issues has been really ramped up, and it's really quite intense. And the formulas, the algorithms that social media operates on are such that they are trying to keep your eyes on the screen for as long as possible. Truth is not part of that equation. It is simply that information that you want to see that will keep you there. That's what the algorithms are feeding you. And the more we know that, the more we can take actions to curb that behavior on our part, because we shouldn't be spending hours and hours and hours of our day with our eyes glued to a screen. That's not good for us for a number of reasons. The emotional, ramp up and anxiety, inducing media that we are exposed to or that is fed to us, right? That's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us enthralled. It's what keeps us like, oh my God, right? Is that you'll get a lot more traction freaking people out than you will in terms of keeping their attention on you than if you are giving a message of happiness and joy and everything's fine and isn't this all good. I mean, people want to hear good news. No, don't get me wrong. Of course they do. But they are organically attracted to controversy. If it bleeds, it leads, that kind of thing, because of the way our brains work and because of the way our attention works. Where we are supposed to be focusing our attention in the environment is on things that are novel. And if given a choice between, non-threatening and threatening, we will keep our attention on the threatening thing in our environment all day, every day, if it's sitting right there. I mean, imagine, as a simple, stupid analogy, if you're in your living room and the TV's on and, life is going on as usual, let's say, everything's pretty chill except for the tiger that's sitting crouched in the corner of your living room staring at you. Now, if that were the case, that tiger were sitting there and it wasn't moving and it was just giving you the beady eye, odds are you would be completely enthralled by that tiger. And it would take a great deal of effort for you to get your eyes off of that tiger, because that is the biggest and most dangerous threat in your environment. And it's going to stay there, and your attention is going to stay riveted on it for as long as that thing is there. You can't afford to take your eyes off it. Well, that's a silly example, but it's the kind of headspace we get into when we are being fed this constant diet of bad news propaganda. Okay, and that's kind of a big part of how we are stuck on social media. Now, it's not all bad news. I'm stressing that part of it because of the fact that we know, bad news, fake news, all that is spread 6 times faster on social media than real news, than the truth. Because as they make the point of, I thought it was so good. Excuse me, in the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix right now, one person who was being talked to said, yeah, the truth is boring. People, the fake news and stuff is so exciting because it's not true. It's so outlandishly insane that people are just fixated on it, whereas the actual truth of things generally tends to be pretty boring. Okay, so that's the external factors there. And the reason I went into such a role about that is because those things are not they don't just exist in a vacuum, they don't just exist on their own. These are influencing people. So when you ask me whether there's is there something in the human psyche that predisposes certain people to this behavior? Yes. Our fight or flight mechanism, the fight, flight, freeze, that is a something in our human psyche that drives all of this. This is why, if we didn't have that, if we were different, the algorithms would be different. They would be feeding us different things. But that is our temperament. We freak out. We are timid. We are always on the lookout for threats in the environment because, let's face it, the environment can be pretty threatening and has been in the centuries and millennia in our past where these instincts developed. So that is something that is in us, that is in all of us. There are no human beings immune to these things that I'm discussing right now. Although, obviously, all of this is on a spectrum. So some people are going to be more into this than other people. Some people are going to be more sensitive to certain kinds of threats than others. That's what trauma and stress and anxiety is all about, is being particularly keyed in or tuned into certain kinds of triggers that have, caused you stress and problems and pain and other things in the past. Okay, so those are things that are there. The other thing in terms of the oversharing, and I know where you're going with that, is that when people get riled up, when the fight or flight mechanism starts getting, poked, right, and people start, doing that, they seek the safety and comfort of others, right? They want a collective support system because that's what can help them get out of sticky situations that they know they themselves cannot get out of, or bad headspaces, or depressive episodes, or whatever the negative experience is that the person is seeking help with or is looking for some support. That's often why those kind of, people are on social media, tweeting, retweeting, posting, reposting, sharing, various posts. And so there's that aspect of it. So that's all the sort of negative, getting riled up and freaking out and, wanting support and stuff. Then, of course, there is the other half of this, which has nothing to do with any of that. The other half of this is social standing or social status. And this is where virtue signaling comes in. This is where, pushing out content or sharing or liking things that people want other people to notice that's what they're doing. And it's pretty subconscious. We're all seeking the approval of other people. None of us are living in a vacuum. So we want other people to like what we're doing. And we have now overvalued the opinions of other people that we've never met and don't even know and might not ever meet, right? These online connections we make. We value their likes, their shares, their retweets, right? We need we need them clicking the little love heart buttons on our Instagram posts. So this is all about seeking social standing, like I mentioned, and trying to climb social hierarchical ladders, because that's what helps us assure our own survival. When other people are buoying us up with their support, with their love, with their attention, then we feel important. They are making us feel important, and we then feel that our survival is more assured. We are being supported, right? So those sort of needs, or those sort of motivators or drivers, are I think what are the sort of two key things you see being demonstrated on social media platforms often. And actually, I think those are pretty much exactly how it goes down. And it's just people being people, really, but with things dialed up so high these days. I think we're seeing a need to maybe walk this back a little bit and maybe bring down the temperature a little on these platforms. And hopefully we can figure out some smart ways to do that, starting with the fact of understanding how the platforms work against us, because they do. Let's be real clear about that. These social media platforms are not our friends. We are their product. They are not a product we are using. We are their product. And if you don't understand that and that relationship, then social media can become very, very, it can be confusing, it can be weird, and it can be a really negative experience. And that's what a lot of us have been experiencing, which is why I'm so excited and into, sort of talking about and propagating this information about how this stuff really works, so that we don't have to have those negative experiences. We can understand what's happening and we can act accordingly, so we're not negatively affected by it and don't understand why. There you go.